Okay, this is going to be my first reaction video for my YouTube channel. I'm Joshua from JoshuaTieshistory. Um, I'm going to be reacting to chat history, evil kings who did evil things. I'm going to try to fill in some blanks and give you some more information about these certain individuals. I don't know exactly who's going to be in this, but let's just dive right in and figure out who's in this.
Evil kings doing evil things.
Oh, okay.
Hey, he wasn't a king. Yeah, you're right. While some of the guys on this list weren't kings by title, they held very high positions of power nonetheless. So, to you I say...
And that is actually a really good point when it comes to evil kings in this thing. It's not only kings that can be evil, obviously. Those emperors, and then there's also, well, kings, emperors, and multiple other people that could be. What they doing is large people that's in really high places of power is what this video, I'm assuming, is going to be about. Starting out with Emperor Nero. I don't really know a whole lot about his story, but I was reading an article saying that all the evil things that he's claimed to have done might have been extremely overblown. Don't know if it's true or not, but let's get started.
Moving on. Emperor Nero Claudius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, or just Nero to his friends and enemies, was the very last Roman emperor of the less than impressive Julio-Claudian dynasty, which lasted from 27 BC to 68 AD. Like any complete psycho.
Now, the Julio-Claudian dynasty is a very interesting one. Obviously, the dynasty started directly after Julius Caesar's death, with his adopted son being Caesar Augustus, becoming the first emperor of Rome, followed by Tiberius, by Caligula, Claudius, and then Nero. So it's less an impressive dynasty, but it is a very well-known dynasty.
Nero had a pretty complicated childhood. When Nero was just a wee Nerite at the age of 3, his daddy went and abandoned the family by dying. Mom got exiled to a tiny island for maybe attempting to kill Emperor Caligula. Caligula got killed anyway. Mom is unexiled and marries the new emperor, Claudius, which happens to be her uncle, by the way. The public is all, ugh. And now little Nero has a great-uncle emperor dad who has proclaimed him to be the new heir to the throne. I love you, Uncle Daddy. That's a lot to deal with as a child, but the sweet birthday presents help you quickly forget. So why did this happen? Because Nero's mom, Agrippina, was a political savage. Her only interest was power. So much so that, to prevent a revenge plot, she had the recently stabbed Emperor Caligula's widow accused of black magic, banished, and even convinced her to fully deplete her own health bar. Now, she wants her baby boy Nero to be emperor, and in 54 AD, that's what happened. Emperor Claudius died under mysterious circumstances. Mysterious in the sense of having a potentially poisonous mushroom just absolutely slammed down his gullet by Agrippina herself. Maybe. But since the board game Clue had yet to be invented, forensic puzzle solving was pretty minimal. Oh my god! Put that knife down! Someone's just been murdered! Coincidentally, Nero's stepbrother, Britannicus, who had claim to the throne, also decided to expire around the same time under mysterious circumstances. So now, at just 16 years old, Nero is emperor. Yes! Yes! So how did he do being emperor? He actually started off pretty well. He banned capital punishment, expanded the arts, gave disaster relief aid to neighboring cities, reduced taxes, and even gave some rights to slaves.
And that's exactly what I was talking about, is a lot of his evil deeds are actually overblown. The article that I was reading saying that the people in power, the politician side of the Roman Empire, which was like the wealthiest of the individuals in Rome, did not like Nero, and that's why he was painted as a villain, is because, well, obviously the people that's in power is the one that dictates everybody's opinion and create the history books necessarily. But he was most likely really well liked against the poor population. Once again, it could be a conspiracy theory, but I did read an article like that. It's a possibility. With ancient sources, it's very difficult to get an accurate information about, because, well, when when historians was writing about these things, they included their biases, they included multiple things within their historical accounts, which almost certainly was fake. So it just depends on pretty much your point of view at this point.
Seems like a pretty nice guy, actually. Uh-oh, this is getting clickbaity. We're already 2 minutes in. Where's all the evil stuff? Well, for one, he married his stepsister as a power move, which is gross, but not evil. Since the relationship was void of any real love, Nero started poking around in other women's hoo-has, one of which was Poppaea Sabina, a local town babe who was already married. Well, Nero pops Poppaea and puts a baby in her belly. This little stunt ticked off his mom, who was trying to maximize power through having a mentally stable emperor's son. Since Nero didn't think that his mom's attitude was very cash money of her, he had her assassinated, but made it look like an accident. This is regarded as the turning point in Nero's reign, and when all the ancient shit started to hit the ancient fan. He began going a bit kill-happy. Next, he divorced his stepsister, had her exiled, killed, and took her head as a trophy, apparently under Poppaea's influence. But not to worry, Nero did a 360, turned around, and forward-smashed Poppaea and their unborn child off stage. That's one problem taken care of. Nero went unhinged. He had several close friends and political rivals murdered, had a former slave castrated, then married him, and even had a senator murdered just because his expressions were too boring. Oh, would you look at that? I'm dying now. Okay. But Nero's crowning moment in history comes in the year 64, where he allegedly started a small fire in a suspiciously flammable merchant shop. According to some sources, Nero wanted to make way for a newer, more elegant, and ornate palace. And you know what they say? In order to make an omelet, you have to burn down your city. About 71% of Rome was destroyed in the Great Fire in 64 AD. There's rumors that Nero shredded on the fiddle or lute during all this, but there's no actual proof of that claim. But like, could you imagine?
Actually, the funniest part, that's really funny, but yeah, the funniest part is Emperor Nero wasn't even in Rome when that started. He was actually like miles and miles and miles away from Rome when the Great Fire of Rome even started. That's just one of those things, just a story comes out after something happens to paint someone as a villain, and that's exactly what this is. He was accused of causing the Great Fire of Rome in the first place, so it was easy for someone to say that he was playing music on top of the Roman walls when the city was burning to the ground, which is not true.
Eventually, Nero's frequent and dangerously wacky antics forced the Senate to declare him a public enemy. But Nero said that he wouldn't be taken alive, and he wasn't. He went from Nero to zero by slamming a knife into his own neck, thus ending his 13-year reign. Talk about a Nero death experience. You may not think it by looking at him, but this tall glass of lukewarm pond water was once the most influential and feared king.
I will be honest about this. I do not know a whole lot about him. I guess I'm going to learn something new because I do not know anything about this at all.
Kings in Europe in the late 1400s. This is Ferdinand I of Naples, aka Ferrante. He was the illegitimate son of King Alfonso the Magnanimous of Aragon. Not Aragorn. Aragon is over in Spain. Naples is over in Italy. Geography. When Alfonso left this mortal coil, Ferdinand inherited the crown in Naples at the age of 35. Now listen, if you're going to control a kingdom, seldom do kind kings succeed. Though he did bring about 20 years of peace and prosperity to his own kingdom, he was cruel and vile to his enemies, which, I mean, makes sense. You can't conquer with forgiveness and love, you would just get conquered yourself. That being the case, Ferdinand got a reputation for being...
That actually happened a lot throughout history, is when kings that is what people might say nice or anything like that, they get conquered, and that's exactly what happens, especially in either ancient sources and even medieval eras, that happened a lot. That kingdoms would fall and new ones would rise. So it makes sense that you would have to be a little more aggressive when it came to controlling your kingdom.
Rather ruthless. Basically, if you crossed the guy or got on his bad side, you were marked for an unpleasant death. An example of this was early on in his reign in 1462, when several nobles led a revolt against him, trying to put some ham-hock of a human on the throne instead. But Ferdinand put a swift end to that gaggle of rabble-rousers, and the nobles were put in the corner. After many years of keeping his enemies in check, the Ottoman Empire decided it was time to do Ottoman Empire things and invaded Naples in 1480. The southeast region of Salento fell to the Furniture Empire after a few weeks. This caused Ferdinand to
Furniture Empire. That's absolutely funny. Ottoman in front of a chair. That's really. You know what? I'm going to have to start using that. Furniture Empire.
Panic and declared that everyone should be all hands on deck to fill the kingdom's coffers to fight back the invading Ottomans, and were eventually successful. But the heavy tax burdens pissed off the no-good, unthankful nobles. They led yet another rebellion against Ferdinand, to which he said, okay, and seized their property and wealth. The nobles gave up yet again, but Ferdinand wanted to put an end to this once and for all. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you're fucking dead. So Ferdinand set up a meeting to grant the rebels amnesty and forgiveness. At said meeting, a deal was struck and the rebels were quickly forgiven, and also quickly murdered.
Okay.
As a warning to any future conspirators, King Ferdinand had their bodies mummified, stuffed, dressed, and put on display in what he called his Black Museum. Listen here, Ferdinand. I think some things need to change around here. Oh, really? Whew, you know, you're doing such a good job as king. Excuse me while I go and unshit my pants. Ferdinand eventually...
I understand that. I would do the same thing. That's messed up.
He died of butthole cancer, and Naples fell to the French soon after. Now, the title lame here isn't what you think it is. Instead of being lame like some dumb nerd, Timur was lame in the sense of being disabled, while committing casual sheep theft at...
Okay, I do know about this one only because of my research of empires. This is talking about the Timurid Empire, which I do not know a whole lot about. Excuse me. But it did not last very long at all. It actually fell within, what, maybe... I'm not even going to take a guess, but it did not last long at all. Okay, let's get started again.
Children do. Young Timur took an arrow to the knee and an arrow to the hand, which caused lifelong injury. But do you think being reduced down to the usefulness of a cup of tapioca pudding is going to stop this future conquering warlord? Definitely not. In fact, little Timur grew up to be an extremely cruel but highly intelligent and effective military tactician. Through his efforts, the Turco-Mongol warlord conquered most of Western and Central Asia, Caucasia, Persia, the Middle East, and parts of South Asia and Eastern Europe by 1404, all while forming an empire to call his own, the Timurid Empire. Not bad for running on a 50% limb deficit. During his conquests, he spread destruction and terror almost everywhere he went, because that's kind of what conquerors do. Remember, real power is taken, not given. Throughout these campaigns, Timur's actions gained him quite an infamous reputation, placing him amongst other horrifying legends. One such action was the massacre of Isfahan. Formerly a Persian city, Isfahan was a flourishing hub of art, medicine, music, philosophy, and architecture, which meant it had wealth. A thriving city is great and all, but when you have no army to defend it, you're basically just begging for a pillaging. Oh no, I hope no one takes my hard-earned...
I know about this one because it's one of those really interesting things where the city actually surrendered and did not put up a fight. He left the empire. No, he left the area, leaving a few guards in charge. But they wound up getting killed, and because of that, he got so mad and so upset that he came back and just massacred the entire massacred the entire city. It was an absolute just brutal uh, time and area at this point. That's all I'm going to say about this one.
Money. Ugh, my coins are just spilling out. Please don't plunder me pockets. Is this a sexual thing? It could be. So with little to no defense in place, Timur waltzed right in and was all, "This is mine now." And Isfahan was all, "Fair enough," surrendering immediately. As an act of mercy, Timur spared the population, did some light looting, and left some soldiers in command as he went on his next conquest. Well, a few young hooligans decided to be heroes and murdered Timur's soldiers. Bad move. Timur caught wind of this and immediately hightailed it back to Isfahan. In a completely level-headed and reasonable response, he ordered the slaughter of every man, woman, and child in the city. He gave each of his soldiers a quota of heads to bring him. If they failed to collect the craniums, they would lose their own noggins to add to the count. One by...
Okay, I did not know about that part, but I did know about this. I did not know if you didn't meet your quota that you would be executed as well, but once again, that's a very common tactic when it comes to ancient wars, to get those soldiers to actually follow the commands properly. Obviously you would follow your commands better if you are pretty much failed to do so.
Each citizen was cut down. Almost the entire population of 100,000 people, including all livestock, were murdered. Piles of skulls were scattered around the city as testaments to the horrific act. Look, taking your revenge against those who directly defied you is one thing, but when tens of thousands of innocent civilians become collateral damage to your blind wrath, that's when things cross over into evil territory. One surviving prisoner stated that Timur, quote, ordered the women and children to be taken to a plain outside the city, and ordered the children under 7 years of age to be placed apart, and ordered his people to ride over these same children. When his counselors and the mothers of the children saw this, they fell at his feet and begged that he would not kill them. He would not listen, and ordered that they should be ridden over. But none would be the first to do so. He got angry and rode himself among them and said, "Now I should like to see, who will not ride after me?" Then they were obliged to ride over the children, and they were all trampled upon. There were 7,000. Yeah, Timur was a pretty bad dude. And
once again, this is not very unheard of when it comes to ancient conflict. It was just common tactics to inspire this kind of fear for pretty much as a lesson to other cities in the area. Do not defile us at all like this, or the same thing is going to happen to you. You give up without a fight, and then you will be spared.
And that's really just one example of his many atrocities. By the time of his death in 1405, it is estimated that Timur's conquest caused the death of over 17 million people, which was about 5% of the world's population at the time. Pretty solid kill streak.
Okay, I'm going to leave it right there for this first part. I will see you in the next part in a few minutes. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next.